So here's the COROS Apex 4. That's right, it's so good we had to skip from the 2 right up to the 4. Well, I'll address that in a moment. This is Coros's premium outdoor watch. And would you look at that? It's a rare sighting these days. It's a MIP display, memory in pixel. While so many other brands are ditching the MIP, Coros stays true to it. Now, I've been testing this watch for a couple weeks now, and I'm pretty excited to be back training with the Coros. So let's dive in. So first things first, this is the 42mm version of the Apex 4. There's two sizes, and I have to say, I kind of like the smaller form factor that Coros sent me for testing. It looks nice without overly dominating my 17cm wrist. Speaking of which, aside from sending me the watch and providing me some information about it, Coros has given no instruction as to the content of this review, and we're not given any type of preview of what I will be saying before this is going live to everyone. So with that out of the way, let's jump in. Starting with the naming of the Apex 4. So why is it the Apex 4? What did they do with the Apex 3? And when's the Apex 4 Pro coming? Well, there's no Apex 3 and there won't be one. Coros decided to just jump past the 3 straight to the 4 so that the watches in their lineup have numbering that accurately reflects the generations across devices. And if you think about it, the Pace was always kind of up in front of the other models since the Pace 3 has been out since August of 2023, so more than 2 years ago it came out. Now, if you're a subscriber to this channel, you're a very well-informed consumer that is very likely great looking and extremely fit. Now, if you're not subscribed, I highly suggest subscribing to immediately experience those benefits. But for the average people that go to Coros.com and look to see a Pace 3 next to an Apex 3, you couldn't really blame them to think that they're the same generation device. It only makes sense. But they're completely different. So to clear that up, we get the Apex 4, which is clearly a more updated model than the Pace 3. Okay, so then where's the Apex 4 Pro? Well, there isn't one of those either. The Apex 2 and the Apex 2 Pro had different naming conventions because the feature set was different with the two watches. The Pro was the larger size and came with more battery life, more onboard storage, dual frequency GPS, and multi-pitch climbing mode. Now, the only difference between the two sizes are the display size and the battery life. The features are exactly the same from the 46mm and the 42mm. So Coros felt there was no need for the Pro moniker any longer. Okay, so who is the Apex 4 for? Well, if you're not familiar with Coros' lineup, this is the premium outdoor watch for people that want to go fast. We're talking about high durability, long battery life, and high performance navigation. So in my opinion, the Apex fits in the lineup kind of right next to the Pace. While the Pace is geared to be as light as possible and all about speed, the Apex is the ruggedized version built to be put to the test outdoors on trails or on slopes. I'd say the Nomad would be the kind of tough adventure watch for outdoorsmen. It's kind of focused more on casual activities like hiking, and of course is loaded with all those fishing features. And finally, the Vertix would be for, say, ultra marathons, through hikes, multi-day expeditions, where a bit of extra weight is fine and being durable with having very long battery life are the main priorities. Now, before we get into all the details, let's talk about the price. The Apex 4 will retail in the US for $479 for the 46mm version, $429 for the 42mm version. As usual, Coros brings some pretty respectable pricing with a heaping of value as well. The 46mm version comes in $20 less than the launch price of the Apex 2 Pro, and the 42mm version comes in just $20 more than the Apex 2. And those debuted back in 2022. Just try to find another brand coming out with new products priced the same in 2025 as they were 3 years ago. Okay, so let's talk hardware now. The Apex 4 comes in two sizes, like I said, 46mm, 42mm, and both black and white colors. Now, Coros also offers a pretty cool customization option right at purchase where you can choose a different strap for your watch. You can see in the unboxing how they have them kind of packaged up separately. Now, at launch, there's only black and white, so you could be uniform with all black or all white, or go with a kind of panda or stormtrooper vibe. But in the future, there will be more options to choose from, so that'll be kind of cool. You could really customize your watch to make it your own. That strap is going to be 22 millimeters on the smaller version and 24 millimeters on the full-size version, and they use this push button to hold the tail of the strap rather than a traditional keeper. You get used to it, and it kind of shows off this subtle COROS logo on the tail. It's pretty cool. Now the Apex 4 is very slightly heavier than its predecessor, but overall stays pretty light. The full-size offering comes in at 64 grams, and the 42 millimeter weighs in at just 56 grams, and that's with the silicone strap on them. Now if you sport a nylon band like Killian and I do, which is how you know I'm pretty fast, then it weighs in at a barely there 45 grams. The Apex 4 now comes with a polymer back instead of a titanium back. This is done to both cut down on weight and provide more comfort while wearing. Also contributing to the lightweight feel is the titanium bezel that just kind of barely sticks up above the lens, and I actually wish we got a smidge more protection there. You may not technically need it though, since you will be getting a sapphire lens, so you can expect a very scratch resistant display, which is of course quite useful when you're barreling down trails on mountains, or walking through your house and having the door frame jump out in front of you. I can't be the only one that happens to, right? I have no idea how I completely hit on all the door frames. So the lens is covering a third generation MIP display that is easier to see with a bit more contrast than some of the older generation displays. And this display is going to be 1.2 inches on the 42 millimeter version, 1.3 inches on the 46 millimeter version, same as previous gen Apex 2. Speaking of durability, the lugs on the Apex 4 have been reinforced, so it can take however many thumps and bumps you may dish out while covering some wild terrain. Now, aside from the slim bezel, one other area I wish was a little bit different in design is the thickness of the Apex 4. The 46mm version comes in at 15.5 millimeters, which is thick, but it's not too bad for overall size. It's kind of average, to be honest. For comparison, my Apex 2 and TRX 3 Pro both come in right around 16 millimeters, and the Pace Pro comes in at 14.5 millimeters. But the 42mm version, the one that I've got right here, comes in at 15.8 millimeters. It was actually a bit thicker than the 46mm version, and up at the same height as much just kind of broader, bigger watches. It definitely sticks off the wrist a little bit. It's a bit noticeable. I will also say the black color isn't really like black, but more like a pretty dark gray. And I actually like this. It works very well with the titanium bezel color. You can kind of tell when the watch is next to a proper black color like my Polar Vantage M3 here, but otherwise it's really not too noticeable. It pretty much looks black. Now you're getting both a dual mic, one on the side and one on the top, as well as a speaker which is located down at the bottom. This means that you can take calls on the watch as long as you're connected to your phone on Bluetooth. Let's see how calls sound on the Apex 4. So I got the mic here, I got the Apex here. I'll hold it up when the call comes in. I can't I can't place a call, so I'm just waiting right now. Any minute. Hello.
Hello, it's me.
Hi, Mom. Thanks for calling.
You're welcome. Was that all you needed?
Well, it's for the YouTube.
Oh.
I'm talking on the watch. Does it sound clear right now, or does it sound not too good?
No, it sounds clear.
It sounds just fine. Oh, that's good. Yeah, I mean, I think that's it. I just wanted to test.
Did you get a new watch?
Well, the company sends me the watch, so they sent me a watch to test. So I'm doing a review on it.
Oh, okay. Well, it's 2 thumbs up. I can hear you clearly.
Perfect. Thanks, Mom.
All right. You're welcome, sweetheart. Bye.
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 The Apex 4 also comes with an updated button layout compared to the 2. The digital dial has moved up from the 3 o'clock position up to the 2 o'clock position, and that light/action button has moved to the bottom left. The same layout that was just introduced with the COROS Nomad. The action button can be customized per activity, which is a nice touch so you could always easily access important functions during your activities. Now, last of the hardware, let's talk about the guts of the Apex 4. The Apex 4 is going to come with the Ambic Apollo 510 processor. This is the same processor that powers the Pace Pro and the Nomad as well. So having this powerful processor driving a lower resolution MIP display means that everything is screaming fast when operating the watch. It's almost weird to see a MIP display be so performant. My last MIP watch was a Phoenix 6, which isn't exactly turbocharged under the hood. Obviously that was many years ago. But I have to say, from menus to maps, there's just no slowdowns when you're using the Apex 4. You're going to be getting 32 gigabytes of internal storage, which is plenty for your maps, music, and voice pins. For sensors, you're getting the whole shebang, such as optical heart rate, barometric altimeter, ECG, SpO2, compass, water depth gauge, accelerometer. Well, you get the point. Now, when it comes to MIP, one of the benefits is obviously you have always on display. You could glance at your watch without lifting it up to raise it, and you can see what time it is. And of course, the other one is you get great battery life. So the battery life on the 46mm version is rated at 24 days, while this 42mm version is rated at 15 days. Now that rating is just basically if you're wearing it as a fitness tracker or smartwatch. It includes sleep tracking, daily stress, and heart rate measurements. Okay, Future Dave jumping in because when I first filmed this segment, I was still doing some marathon training. I was putting in some serious GPS time, so my predicted battery life is going to be about 11 days. And now that I'm done with that marathon training block, I'm kind of in a more like normal training mode where I'm doing about like 5 or 6 GPS activities a week, but they're a bit shorter in duration, mixing in some strength training, some recovery cycling, things like that. So basically at this point, the battery life looks like it's going to be about like 13 and a half to almost 14 days. So almost the advertised 15 days, which is extremely impressive for the 42mm size. So if you're training like very high or hitting 70-mile weeks, you're doing things like that, yeah, you're going to be getting 11 days because you're going to be hammering the battery with GPS. Otherwise, you're looking at about 13, 14, 15 days, just like advertised. Oh, and speaking of GPS modes, there's 3 different GPS modes that you can use here. There's high mode, max mode, and endurance mode. So max mode will be dual frequency, and that gets you 41 hours and 26 hours respectively for the 2 sizes. The high mode, which is that default one, is when the watch is scanning all the different GPS systems and picking the one with the strongest signal to stay connected to. This will get you 53 hours and 34 hours respectively. And finally, the endurance mode, which is kind of new how they've done this. It's pretty cool. You get 65 hours and 41 hours for the different sizes. So the way that COROS explained the endurance mode is that the watch will identify which satellite systems have the signal that's the strongest and then choose when to check from that limited amount of systems for accuracy. It's not going to be checking all 6 satellite systems. It'll reduce down to say 2 or 3 and be checking those to figure out what's the strongest signal and jump between those as needed. So basically it's lower power than the high mode while still maintaining pretty good accuracy. They showed this graphic, which I thought was a pretty good way to kind of demonstrate the difference. Now, since we're talking about new features already, let's jump into those a bit more. A lot of these will look familiar if you already know about the COROS Nomad, but you're getting your adventure journal, you're getting voice pins. COROS really seems to be putting some time into developing these kind of 3D map stories to share. So let's take a look at one that I recently did. It's not too exciting. I just took a walk around the neighborhood. There's some photos, there's some videos. I did do some voice pins. Those aren't part of the 3D flyover. I'm going to show this in just a second when you share the actual activity. But just to show, I mean, obviously this would look a lot cooler if I was climbing a mountain, but I was taking a short walk. So there you go. Now let's take a look at the activity that I shared, and here you have the option to share your voice pins within the activity. It's not on by default, but you can turn it on, and when you're doing that, you can actually click in and you could hear all the different voice pins. So let's check that out. Well, we get to test out the mic here. It's a little bit windy outside, so hopefully this will give a good test to see how good the clarity is, because they claim they use some AI recognition to kind of keep things nice and crisp. And there's a couple here, so we could check out samples from the others as well. The wind has died down a bit, so I guess we could check and see the difference in quality from the first recording to this one. Let's check it out. And you can see the microphone works very well outdoors. I mean, it was very windy in that first one, so it's good to see that you could make out everything very clearly. And it's just, I mean, it's a neat feature. So you can have voice pins as well as photos and videos added to your GPS track, which can be both shared for some kudos, but also can be useful in your own training. If you wanted to note where you bonked on your run because you didn't bring enough gels and wanted to know what distance that happened at, or you wanted to note where the trail you're on has the more technical terrain so you could adjust your pacing strategy for a race, or whatever it might be. Oh, and speaking of trails, you're getting maps that are going to be 30 times faster than the Apex 2, and those will be coming with trail names, points of interest, and street names all on the maps. You can scroll and move through the map so quickly, and I have to say, having a positive map display on the MIP screen makes it easier to read than I thought it would be, given the lower resolution and less vibrant display. But there's no issues with legibility or seeing it or using it. It's a pretty good experience. Let's take a quick look at some run data and some strength training as well. Okay, so this is basically a steady state run. I'm just kind of running on feel. At the end I throw in some intervals just to try and test things out with the sensor a bit. I have the COROS Apex 4 on my left wrist, represented with a blue line here, and a Forerunner 970 on my right wrist, represented with a red line. No external sensors, just watch versus watch. But you can see here, if you're looking at heart rate, everything is in like almost complete agreement here. This is really impressive to see. And again, these are two different watches, no external sensors on the wrist, different arms. So, I mean, we could zoom in on portions here, but everything is looking like really the same here. Moving along to cadence, I mean, we're seeing right about the same. There's really not much to note here. A few little drops here and there with the COROS, but again, I mean, it depends. You know, I'm running, I'm doing a little filming, like one arm might be not pumping, but you could see, I mean, 84.4, 85, we're looking at about the same. Now speed, we're getting into a little bit of the GPS readings here, and you can see things kind of pick up a little bit higher, a little all over the place with the Forerunner, and it's kind of smoothed out a bit more with the Apex 4. Overall though, again, about the same, a little bit of a pickup here that is picked up by the COROS, same thing here. Here the Forerunner does pick up the intervals slightly before the Apex 4. They're mainly in agreement, but there is a very slight delay with the Apex compared to the Forerunner. Also, the Forerunner catches a little bit higher of a peak on all of them, but overall, this is about what you'd expect to see. And finally, we could take a look at some GPS tracks, but this is just around my neighborhood. It's very easy to see. We're looking like extremely close here. I mean, if we go in, you could even see like from the one side to the other, which was on which arm, and even like when we're taking like a sharper turn here, everything is just in alignment. So it's a pretty easy environment to run in. This is just, like I said, a neighborhood run, no obstructions. Everything looks great, and this is about what you'd expect from two top-tier watches. Now for strength training, I hadn't tested the new strength training updates that rolled out this past summer, so it was nice to see that the new exercise rest screen allowed for adjusting reps and weight. This makes tracking accurately much easier, so you're not relying on the rep estimation. You could put in exactly how many reps you did, how much weight it was. Now I will have to say though, this is still not a strong suit of COROS. Picking a body part each time for every set, it's still a pain. The muscle heat map should basically just be ditched, I guess, if that's the necessity that is driving this, like pick a body part for every set. I don't think it informs enough to be worth the pain in the ass that choosing a muscle group for every set you're going to be doing for a free lift. Now, if you're creating your own structured workouts, that's a bit different, but even that is a little arduous sometimes. Now, one other activity mentioned, they added pickleball, all right. So this is my main method of working up my VO2 max. This is the biggest factor I attribute to hitting all these PRs I've recently hit in my races, and okay, well, maybe not, but it's still fun to play some pickleball sometimes, so yay. Now, while I have some overall COROS criticisms with their watch software, like the inability to adjust font size and other kind of small quality of life changes that should be made, if I were to narrow things down on my experience with the Apex, I say that the night mode definitely needs some fixing. I think this might be across multiple models, though, to be honest, on a new software update, but basically, I'd randomly get kicked out of night mode when I'd get up to use the restroom or something, and it would light up in the middle of the night. And in all my years of wearing sports watches, this is the first time it actually woke up my wife, and she was not happy to have that light in her face. I also wish we were able to make calls from the watch instead of only take them on the watch. Now, COROS did say this is likely kind of ahead in the development timeline. I hope I'm allowed to say that. They kind of hinted towards that, but there's definitely no concrete confirmation they're doing it. But it would have only made sense to have this ready at launch if it's something that they think is, easy to develop. Now, I will say my overall software experience was very smooth and without any kind of crashes, and even being on the beta software, right? Which I do expect, kind of given the similarities in the software and honestly the hardware between the model lineup that COROS has. Now, hardware-wise, and I could already see half of y'all like clapping, getting up, standing applause for this, and the other half completely rolling their eyes. It's an outdoor performance adventure watch. Like, I wish they put a hardware flashlight in it. Now Coros has hinted they're finally going to update watches to have a screen-based flashlight, which would never be enough for outdoor use, but maybe that will be enough for like in the house. I mean, this display was enough to wake up my wife after all. But with Garmin, Amazfit, and Suunto now on the flashlight train, Coros is getting left out in the dark. I mean, I guess literally. Okay, so overall, I think the Apex 4 is right where it should be at. The 4 brings the Apex lineup into parity with the newest sensors and processors while keeping the premium build materials and more or less maintaining the price, which is no small feat in 2025. Coros has stayed true to the MIP display while so many other manufacturers are taking away that option. Coros can afford to have that variety because they build their software in a very uniform manner with a lot of feature parity between models. So the most recent models are all quite similar on the inside with some variety in build materials and design along with some small software differences. But no matter which device you choose, you're going to be getting that same great COROS app experience with a training first focus. You get the clean COROS app user interface that allows you to review your activities, create routes, but kind of keeps your progress front and center with training load and readiness, along with some of the wellness tracking like sleep tracking and stress. And of course, Coros offers a plethora of pretty good training plans available for free on their website. So all that to say, while the Apex 4 is a very nice step up from the 2 and 2 Pro, there isn't really a huge amount that differentiates it from the Pace Pro or the Nomad, other than the obvious hardware changes. You have the different display on the Pace Pro and the different build materials from the Nomad. It is mostly similar to the Nomad, of course, being that the watch just debuted, it has the same button layout, but I kind of think that's okay. The gap in prices seems appropriate and justified given the difference in build materials. And you, the consumer, have the ability to choose where you fit into their model lineup and make the best choice for yourself. So if you value a MIP display and good battery life and fast maps, and the most differentiating factor from the Nomad, the premium build materials and different design, with the sapphire, titanium, kind of more sleek look than the Nomad, then the Apex is the right pick for you. Now, I personally enjoy the training first focused approach of the COROS app. I really like the build and design of the Apex 4, so I plan to be using this watch for quite a while. But what about you? Is this the upgrade that you were looking for? Are you a MIP enjoyer that was deserted by your favorite brand and you're looking for the next great MIP? Do you think COROS missed on any of the key points with the Apex? I'm curious to hear your take down in the comment section, and as always, thank you for hanging with me today. I'm Dave, and this is Dave Does Fitness. Have an awesome day, and stay fit.